Hello and welcome to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame. Since 1981, this Hall of Fame gives recognition to worthy coaches, players, referees, executives, and special contributors.
The nation's capital has long been regarded as a hotbed for basketball, past and present, and the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame continues to honor the legends of D.C. area basketball with memorable banquets like today. Founded in 1981 by the late Bob Gagan, who also started the Capital Classic All-Star Game, his vision was to recognize and honor great achievements while providing a wonderful opportunity for people to meet and mingle with legends. Today's new Hall of Fame class of inductees will become part of history and join a notable team of Hall of Fame members that are now a permanent local shrine of basketball greatness from the Washington, D.C. area. We would like to thank and recognize our Hall of Fame sponsors who helped make this honorary event possible. Planet Fitness. With more than 2,000 clubs worldwide, your fitness is essential. Represented by Victor Brick, Chairman of Planet Fitness. The Pacific Institute. Transformative programs to unleash high-performance results. Represented by Rick Brown, Senior Project Director for TPI. We'd like to thank these special contributors as well, all who helped make today happen. Finally, a big shout out to legendary play-by-play sportscaster, TV, and radio personality Johnny Holiday for narrating the video bios of today's inductees.
Thank you all for attending and enjoy today's program of the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
You remember the three words I opened last year with? Anybody remember the three words I started last year's with? Anybody remember the three words I opened up the session last year with? We got next. We got next. All right, guys. Thank you for everybody coming for the 42nd DC Basketball Hall of Fame. Started by our friend Bob Gagan 42 years ago. We're pleased to carry on his tradition today to induct our new members. We thank you for coming. We have a great lineup scheduled for you. We have some videos. We have, of course, the program. Hopefully you've taken a look at the program, a little background on everybody. I have had a feeling over the years about the great exports of DC to the world. Two things we exported really well, basketball and music. You know, not only did we have the Elgin Baylors and the Dave Bings, we had the Duke Ellingtons and the Marvin Gayes. And people know, and I put this picture up here, I think some of you probably know who that is on there with the red headband. Who knows who that is? That's Marvin Gaye. He was a hooper here in DC too. So that's our friend Marvin Gaye. So next time you hear one of his tunes, remember that he was also a basketball player. I want to introduce our existing Hall of Fame members who are here today. And when I call your name, would you mind please standing and remain standing? Brian Magid. Brian. Dan Harwood. Dan Harwood. Adrian Dantley. AD. Red Jenkins. Red Jenkins. Ollie Johnson. Ollie, where are you, Ollie? Stand up, stand up. Walt Williams, did Walt sneak in? Walt, are you here yet? And Adrian, we said Adrian, and Eddie Peterson's not here yet, huh, Brian? He's not coming? Okay. So thank you, your existing hall members. Thank you very much. And Pete, could you hand me that brochure there real quick? And I'm going to introduce individually just one at a time, and we're going to have a lot more on each person in a few minutes. But if we could have the ones who are here, the members of the hall who are going in today. We have members of Frank Bolden's family, his daughter and his granddaughter back there. James Brown's daughter, Katrina, is on her way. JB's got a side gig on Sunday, so he can't make it today. Adrian won't make. Donald Huff. Donald, can you stand up, say hello? Donald Huff, 25 years a sports writer. Johnny Jones couldn't make it. Chris Nockey, my man Chris. Please stand up, say hi to your fans. All righty. And Tony Upson. Tony Upson. Tony, where are you? Hiding over there. Tony's the man. And we want to give a special tribute to our good friend in memoriam, who unfortunately had a heart attack and passed away 2 months ago, our good friend Butch McAdams. And we have his family here. His widow is here. Mrs. McAdams is here. Please make sure to say hi to her. Butch was the man for sports in D.C. for more than 20 years, and we loved his radio show in and out of sports, and we inducted Butch into the Hall of Fame last year, and then he unfortunately suddenly passed away in August. So we thank the McAdams family for coming to this event. Thank you very much. I also want to say special thanks to our committee, the people who have served to make this thing happen. My committee members, Brian Maggott, Mike Pepper, Tony Upson, and who am I forgetting here? Let's see. And Jesse Harrison, and Penny Green. Go Penny, how can I forget my man Penny? Pete Strickland, Victor Brick, Red Jenkins, and Pete Kirshner.
And without further ado, let's get started. Our first inductee is Thurl Bailey, pride of Bladensburg High School and NC State University. And let's watch the video to get started on Thurl Bailey.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Thurl Bailey.
Thurl Bailey's journey to basketball greatness began in an unexpected way. At Bladensburg High School, he earned the honor of being a 1979 first-team Washington Post All-Met player and secured a spot on the prestigious Capital Classic All-Star team. But Thurl didn't pick up a basketball until his teenage years, inspired by watching Julius Erving on television. In his 7th and 8th grade tryouts, he faced the sting of rejection, getting cut from the team both times. Growing up, Thurl wasn't the most athletic kid. His focus was on academics and music and acting and student government. His parents emphasized the importance of good grades, communication skills, and respect. But after being cut, the pain of failure fueled his determination. His father improvised a basketball hoop by cutting the bottom out of a garbage can and hanging it up in the backyard where he would practice tirelessly. Thurl credits his junior varsity coach, Ernie Welch, who recognized his potential and invested time in developing him into an outstanding student athlete. Thurl's hard work really paid off. After a standoff senior year, he signed with NC State, where he became a key player in their legendary 1983 NCAA Championship Miracle Run. And during that magical season, Thurl led the Wolfpack in scoring and rebounding, amassing 1,495 points over his 4-year college career. Standing at 6'11", Big T, as he was nicknamed, was a force on the court, agile, with the ability to hit jump shots and post up and dunk on anyone who dared to stand in his way. In 1983, the Utah Jazz selected Thurl as the 7th overall pick in the NBA draft. Jazz management highlighted that his selection was as much about his character as it was about his game. And this marked the start of a 16-year professional basketball career, 12 of which were spent in the NBA. Thurl was twice a runner-up for the NBA's 6th Man of the Year award and earned the J. Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award, a testament to his impact both on and off the court. Bailey resides in Salt Lake City, where he serves as a color analyst for Utah Jazz TV broadcast. Beyond basketball, he's an inspirational speaker, singer, songwriter, and film actor, and he dedicates time to working with multiple charities. Thurl is the proud father of 6 children, 3 of whom he shares with his wife, Cindy. They've been happily married for 30 years. He's forever grateful of the relationships and the people who shaped his life in the village that raised him.
Big T, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
What a great video, and what a cherished part of this DC basketball lore Thurl is. And today, to accept his award, and Thurl sends his heartfelt regrets and not being able to get out here from Salt Lake, is his college teammate, Derek Wittenberg, to accept his award on his behalf. Derek.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, the late Frank Bolden.
Frank Bolden, known affectionately as the Gray Fox, was a towering figure in Washington, D.C.'s high school basketball scene during the 1950s and 1960s. As the head coach of Cardozo High School's basketball team, the Clerks, for 12 years, Bolden amassed an extraordinary 174-53 record, leading his team to 5 inter-high championships and 2 city titles. His tenure at Cardozo cemented his reputation as one of the deans of coaching. Born in Tacoma Park, Frank P. Bolden graduated from Dunbar High School in 1935, where he played varsity basketball. He went on to attend Wilberforce University, where he graduated in 1939. Bolden initially sold insurance before returning to Washington to begin his teaching career in the late 1940s. In 1951, he earned a master's degree in physical education from Ohio State University. Early in his career, Bolden held multiple jobs to support his passion for coaching, a role that at that time offered no financial compensation. Bolden's coaching style was built on fundamentals, discipline, and a deep understanding of his players. He was known for his meticulous preparation, drilling his teams tirelessly to ensure they were never outsmarted on the court. Bolden emphasized the importance of physical conditioning, free throws, and a strong defense, and he made sure his teams were always mentally prepared for their opponents. His focus on the basics and his unwavering demand for discipline meant that his players not only learned the game, but also valuable life lessons in responsibility and teamwork. But Bolden was more than just a coach. For many of his players who lacked father figures, he filled that role with grace and dedication. He made sure his players were doing well both at school and at home, keeping his door open and working long hours to check in with their families. If a player stepped out of line, Bolden made sure they took responsibility and apologized, often opting for a calm, sit-down conversation rather than raising his voice. Beyond the court, Bolden served as a physical education teacher and assistant principal at Cardozo before moving into an administrative role overseeing school athletics in the late 1960s. After retiring in 1980, he continued to influence education and athletics through various consulting roles. Frank Bolden passed away in 2009 at the age of 91, leaving behind a legacy of excellence in both coaching and education.
Frank Bolden, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Good afternoon. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here with each of you. And as my uncle said earlier, I am amongst basketball elite. And so I'm privileged to accept this award on behalf of my grandfather. He and I moved in lockstep, and I know about his fundamentals and his discipline all too well. But I've heard the stories about his mentorship and just what he meant to the basketball community and to his boys. And even though he's not here with us in the flesh, he is smiling down in gratitude, and we thank you so much for this honor.
In fairness to Rick and his committee, when Rick inherited the Hall of Fame upon Bob Gagan's passing, there were some holes. There were some people that needed to be in the Hall of Fame that weren't. We feel like we're catching up, and obviously Frank Bolden is one of those who could have and should have been in a long time ago. So congrats to Coach the Gray Fox. Next inductee, very much with us, still involved in the game of basketball as a ESPN commentator. Great playing career, which we'll be reminded of here in a second. Adrian Branch.
Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Adrian Branch.
Adrian Branch, standing at 6'8", made his mark at DeMatha, earning first-team All-Met honors in 1980 and 1981. He showcased undeniable talent, being named a Parade All-American and claiming MVP honors at the McDonald's Classic All-Star Game, where he even outshined Michael Jordan. From a young age, Adrian was inspired by his father, Big Charlie, a basketball coach, and his two brothers, Tom and Phil. At just 4 years old, after watching his brother play, Adrian asked his dad if he could join in. His father placed him under the basket, and with a left-handed shot, Adrian switched the ball right through the net. After high school, Branch continued his success at the University of Maryland, becoming a two-time All-ACC selection and leading the Terrapins to the ACC championship in 1984. And by the end of his college career, Branch was Maryland's second all-time leading scorer and was later recognized as an ACC legend in 2004. A versatile player who excelled in 4 positions on the court, Adrian possessed unbridled confidence and a flair for spectacular plays. He earned 2 All-America honorable mentions and led the Terps to the Sweet 16 in 1984 and 1985. In 1985, Branch was drafted in the second round by the Chicago Bulls. His NBA career included winning a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers in 1987, alongside Magic and Kareem. He even spent time with the Nets, the Trail Blazers, and Timberwolves. After his NBA tenure, Branch expanded his career internationally, playing for teams around the world. Off the court, Branch continues to inspire others, becoming one of the top 10 most requested speakers for school assemblies and youth organizations. He has spoken to over 3 million middle and high school students across the country. His motto to kids, "You're not born a winner or a loser, you're born a chooser." Life is all about making the right choices. In 2004, Branch became the television color analyst for the Charlotte Bobcats. And in 2007, he joined ESPN as a college basketball analyst. His broadcasting career also includes time with Comcast Sportsnet in D.C., and he credits mentors like Glenn Harris, Harold Bell, Doc Walker, and James Brown for guiding his journey. He wants people to know that when they see him on ESPN, he upholds the principles that Dr. James Naismith followed, principles rooted in the tenets of Jesus. He lives in Phoenix, working as a West Coast college basketball TV analyst for ESPN. Adrian's been happily married to his wife Kim for 35 years, and they have 3 amazing children.
Adrian Branch, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Adrian, unfortunately, sends his regrets, could also not be here tonight. Accepting on his behalf is a guy who was a freshman at DeMatha when Adrian was a senior. One of the reasons he went to DeMatha, went on to Towson University and a good career there. Mike Colclaw is going to accept on his behalf. Those others who haven't been able to make it, this guy especially couldn't have underlined it more about how much he wanted to be here, and that's James Brown. As Rick alluded to earlier, he's got a side gig that he does on Sunday afternoons in the fall that keeps him a little bit busy. But he was dying to be here. One of the things he said is, he told Rick and I, he said, "Gosh, I'd love to do something," and we tried to get something where we could do a remote and something from the set, because as James said, after 1 o'clock, we got about an hour and a half off till the first halftime. So he said, yeah, we were really attempting to do it. Anyways, it didn't happen. But he said, I need to do it, because Howie Long just said the other day, he said, Howie got off the phone and said, "Hey, James," he said, "this guy wants to know who the big brother in the end, whose line he played for." He says, "I'm tired of being thought of as a football guy. I'm a basketball guy." So he would love to be here amongst us, and couldn't be, but we know where he is. But let's take a look at his fantastic accomplishments as a basketball player. James Brown.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, James Brown.
James Brown's journey in basketball and life is a testament to the power of family, faith, and perseverance. Growing up in Washington, D.C., Brown was surrounded by a nuclear family that was critical to his success. His parents, high school graduates, had what Brown calls PhDs in drive, determination, and resilience. They were his heroes, with his mother often saying, "Excellence is not unique to any one person. It takes hard work, perspiration, and faith." Brown's first sport was baseball, but after struggling with Steve Garrett's curveball, he shifted to basketball. And that change came when Brown attended a summer camp run by legendary coach Morgan Wooten at DeMatha High School. Initially, Brown says he was a terrible player, but under Don Fugel's mentorship and Wooten's coaching, his skills rapidly improved. JB describes Wooten as a great coach, teacher, and man of faith, who instilled principles that aligned with those of his parents: God first, family second, school third, and sports fourth. At DeMatha, Brown was a two-time first-team All-Met selection and blossomed into a Parade Magazine High School All-American. He received over 100 scholarship offers and was recruited by top schools, but chose a different path. Inspired by U.S. Senator and former New York Knick Bill Bradley, who embodied athletic and academic excellence, Brown decided to attend Harvard University. And at Harvard, Brown was a three-time All-Ivy League selection and an All-American in his senior year. With 1,242 career points, he finished fourth in career rebounding. After college, Brown was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in the fourth round, but was one of the last rookies released, and that defeat instilled in him a relentless work ethic. After a few years in business with Xerox, TV host Petey Green insisted Brown attend a casting call at Channel 20 for the Washington Bullets. Brown prepared by simulating an interview with NBA player Phil Chenier, which launched his remarkable broadcast career. Brown is the host of the NFL Today on CBS, a five-time Emmy Award winner who has hosted the Super Bowl a record-breaking 11 times. He also serves as a special correspondent for CBS News. Recently, Brown received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences at the 45th Annual Sports Emmy Awards. For 4 decades, the man affectionately known as JB has set the gold standard in sports broadcasting. JB is also an ordained minister who speaks at churches and conferences, sharing God's message to uplift others. He lives in the D.C. area and has been happily married to Dorothy for 30 years. He's a proud father to his amazing daughter Katrina and son-in-law John, and a doting grandfather to their 4 children.
JB, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
And that amazing daughter referenced in the video is here tonight to accept his award. Katrina, please.
So I did not know that was going to happen. So I'm a mom of 4, so I'm emotional. I'm sorry. I have 4 kids, so I'm a very emotional person. So that video was great. Thank you so much. I do have a few words to say because, as you all know, you guys know my dad probably better than I, but he told me I had to write something. So I am going to. As you guys said, he really wanted to be here. Tried to even not be here on Sunday. I said, no, people and their fantasies, you cannot do that, sir. So I will gladly receive this for you. As you guys said, I'm looking around and I know stories of all of you, and those stories are really what lighten his life. I mean, the best belting laughs that I hear are when I'm hearing about his time at DeMatha. So to see all of you here, this is really cool. I am honestly my dad's biggest fan. I don't care what anyone says here. I am. I have watched him since I was 5. I remember seeing him on TV and waiting for him to come on so I could kiss the screen to see him on there because I thought it was just super cool. He's in this tube. And then he comes to my school. I went to Bunker Hill Elementary School, and he came there and did a commercial. And again, I'm 5, so whatever, but the entire school comes running out, and all of these kids are screaming his name and all of this, and it was the weirdest thing to me. I didn't understand the magnitude of who he was, and then I now realize he's in everyone's TV screen, so I get it now. He's really important. So, but DC is his home. He has never left. When he went to Fox, they gave him an opportunity to stay there. He refused. even now, he's traveling, as you see, from back and forth to New York because he does not want to leave here. He will say it's because of his family as well, but it's because of everybody in this room. He loves DC, and this award, out of all of them, the Emmys, I've never seen him more excited to receive this one here. So this was an honor to be here to accept it for him. Thank you guys for loving on my dad the way that you do. He is literally the best man I ever know. Honey, next to you. But he is. So it was really a treat for me to be here to receive this. So thank you guys so much.
I've got to add something, and so many of you have worked with him. There's so many assembled media here. I've got to add one thing about James. He's so humble, and most of you have heard this story, but for those of you who haven't, it bears repeating. He talks about when he first got involved in broadcasting as doing football, and I guess he was adamant about, I'm not a football guy. He was telling him, I'm a basketball guy. And they said, you're going to be great, James. Just lean on your color guy. Lean on your color guy. Just stay in your lane and set him up. If you find yourself in trouble, the color guy will take over. You don't really have to know football. You're fantastic at keeping things moving. You're going to be great. He reluctantly agrees and gets convinced to take on this football stuff, right? So he tells this story about himself all the time, which is why I talk about his humility. He tells this story all the time. First game, and there's an interception. So here's James, and he intercepts at the 35, and he's at the 40. He's at the 45, he's at the 50, he's at the 55, he's at the 60, he's at the 65. He said his ear is going crazy. And he's getting jabbed by the color guy, and he doesn't know. He says, thank God they tackled him at the 75. But he tells that story about himself. It just shows you what kind of a humble guy he is, and it's just a great story. He learned, obviously. He's one of the best, so I always love hearing him talk about that, and I'm sure he would tell it today. Katrina, thank you. That was awesome. And you hesitated a little bit too long before you acknowledged your husband on that best man ever. Yeah, I had it at 3 seconds, which probably isn't good. The next gentleman we're going to honor, and again, so many of his friends here, what a testament to him. So many of people involved in his life early on, and he's with us tonight. Can't wait to hear from him. But first, let's watch a video on Donald Huff.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Donald Huff.
Donald Huff grew up on 14th Street in Washington, D.C., where his love for sports began early. While attending Cardozo High School, he discovered a passion for statistics and meticulously tracking basketball, baseball, and football games. And this early interest would set the foundation for a remarkable career. As a student and later a graduate of the District of Columbia Teachers College, Huff served as the men's basketball team's scorekeeper and statistician from 1963 to 1973. During his tenure, the team never experienced a losing season, capturing 6 Maryland Intercollegiate Conference MIC championships. His dedication and precision in his role helped solidify his reputation as a trusted figure in the sports community. In 1974, Huff broke barriers by becoming the first black high school sports reporter hired by the Washington Post. For 28 years, he brought an unparalleled focus to area high school athletics, so much so that the paper created an award in his honor, the Donald Huff Award, to recognize contributions to local sports by individuals who often go unrecognized. Huff's reporting didn't just cover games, it shaped the way high school sports were viewed in the D.C. area. He spearheaded the prestigious All-Met selection process, bringing national attention to the extraordinary basketball talent in the DMV. Upon retiring from the Post, Huff returned to the newly renamed University of the District of Columbia, which included his alma mater, DCTC. He served as the Sports Information Director, later becoming the Assistant Athletic Director. His leadership continued to impact the athletic community, ensuring that the stories of student athletes were told with the same passion and accuracy that defined his career. Throughout his journey, Huff remained deeply connected to the athletes he covered, many of whom still reach out to him today. His work expanded from covering 25 schools to an impressive 125, and he was instrumental in including girls' teams in the All-Met selection process. further broadening the scope of high school sports coverage. Huff credits former basketball coach at Cardozo, Frank Bolden, for encouraging him to start keeping the books, a decision that led to his lifelong commitment to sports journalism. His contributions have left a lasting mark on the D.C. sports community. On a personal note, Donald Huff has been happily married to his wife, DeLois, for over 50 years, and they have one daughter. In retirement, he enjoys fantasy football, fantasy basketball, crossword puzzles, and old Western movies, activities that keep his mind sharp and his competitive spirit alive.
Donald Huff, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
And with us here today, Donald Huff.
First thing, I want to make one thing clear. I did not go to college for 10 years. Said from 1973 to 83. It didn't take me that long to graduate. You know, when you get up here, you do so many wonderful things. And after you wake up in the morning, you ask yourself, what else wonderful can happen to me today? Here it is. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for even thinking about me. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And it's nice to look out and see your peers who came out to celebrate this day with me. Life lesson. Whenever you're celebrating anything, take your family and your friends with you. You don't want to go and sit at a table and don't know a soul. Quick story. Years ago, the Washington Post honored me by naming the Donald Huff Award after me. And I would usually go to the ceremony and present the award to a deserving person. One year, I did not sit at the head table. I sat out in the audience with my wife. And the table was empty, and it filled in with people I didn't know, and they didn't know me. And before we introduced each other, the program started. Cool. So you know what happened. They went through the program. Who is this Donald Huff? Oh, he's getting an award, so he must be. Okay, they go on and on. First of all, they criticized me for writing about this one, not writing about this one. Didn't pick this person I met. Didn't have a clue about the top 20. On and on and on. I couldn't stand it anymore. So I started to say something, and my wife kicked me on the leg. Shut up, I want to hear what they got to say. Okay, I'll listen some more. They go on and on and on. I said, wait a minute. They castrating me, not you. Stop kicking me. Finally, we get to the point of the meat of this. The guy said, well, hey, man, he's been at the Post 100 years. What's he doing there? Oh, he died several years ago. I gave the epilogue at his funeral. He was one of my best friends. I said, that's it. I started to say something. My wife kicked me again. I said, ouch. She said, it didn't hurt. Besides, you don't feel no pain. You dead, remember? I go up, I present the Donald Huff Award. I come back to the table, I sit down, my wife is by herself. Everybody is gone. So I say, she said, well, one of the guys said, is that really Donald Huff? And my wife said, yes, but he is risen from the dead. I would just like to thank the committee again for honoring me. And of course, I'll never forget the Washington Post. I saw three of my endeared colleagues, Donald Graham, George Solomon, and Lenny Shapiro. Thank you again for getting me started. I appreciate it again from the bottom of my heart, my graciousness and appreciation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Donald, I just got a note from Brian Maggott and Penny Green. They said they're going to overlook, because you did such a good job, the statistical errors you made in their senior year scoring average. And they said, no problem, just wave it off. Yep. Next gentleman that we'll honor, we'll take a picture, take a look at his video, was a DeMatha grad. 2 days ago, Rick, 2 days ago called, and he's local, and he's pray for him, not doing great, he said, which if you know Johnny Jones, you say, wow, he's never had a bad day. If you've ever met Johnny Jones, you know he's never had a bad day. But he couldn't make it. He's just not feeling great. He just felt he couldn't make the trip. But let's look at him and honor him in our viewing of the video on Johnny Jones.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Johnny Jones.
Johnny Jones first learned the game of basketball at the No. 2 Police Boys Club in D.C. He became a pioneering figure when he, along with John Austin, integrated DeMatha Catholic High School's basketball program in 1961, forever changing the landscape of high school basketball. As a standout player, Jones earned first-team All-Metro honors in both 1961 and 1962. Standing 6'7", he was the driving force behind DeMatha's first D.C. City basketball championship in 1962, a monumental achievement that laid the foundation for one of the most accomplished high school basketball programs in the United States. After making history at DeMatha, Jones took his talents to California State University, Los Angeles, where he continued to refine his skills. His hard work and dedication paid off when he was recruited by the NBA's Boston Celtics. Legendary Celtics coach Red Auerbach acquired Jones' contract from the Baltimore Bullets, recognizing his potential. At Auerbach's summer camp, none other than Bill Russell nicknamed him Boogaloo because of the way he seemed to dance his way to the basket, a testament to his smooth and fluid style of play. In his first and only season with the Celtics, Jones achieved the pinnacle of success by winning an NBA championship. The underdog Celtics defeated the Los Angeles Lakers in a 7-game series. After the victory, Jones announced he wouldn't be returning the next season. Having fulfilled his dream, he was ready to move on to the next chapter of his life. Following his NBA success, Jones was eventually drawn to the upstart ABA, where he played for the Kentucky Colonels. Known for his efficient style and mastery of the bank shot, Jones was an agile forward whose game was ahead of its time. True to his word, Jones transitioned into a career outside of basketball, working in hotel administration before fulfilling a promise to his mother. He dedicated himself to giving back to the community by working in recreation at the Boys and Girls Club, where he spent 8 years mentoring and supporting the next generation. Johnny Jones grew up in a family of athletes, 7 brothers and 1 sister, all of whom played sports. He fondly recalls the fierce competition for trophies on the family mantle. He's also a proud father of 5, 4 sons, all of whom followed in his basketball footsteps, and 1 daughter. He now lives outside Frederick, Maryland.
Johnny Jones, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Before we bring Tom Ponton up to accept on his behalf, I'm reminded of an old story that Morgan used to tell when, ironically, Morgan Wooten, head coach of DeMatha, his program started, really, he would always give credit to Johnny Austin and Johnny Jones. And ironically, at the time, there were not many transfers. Johnny Austin was a transfer from Carroll. Carroll had that great run with Coach Bob Dwyer, and Bob Dwyer left Carroll and went to St. Anselm's, many of you remember. But Morgan and loved telling the story about Johnny and John were the first two African Americans at DeMatha. Not the first two African American basketball players, the first two African Americans at DeMatha. And Morgan was afraid that Johnny Austin would leave. Johnny Jones, he knew, wouldn't leave. If you knew Johnny never knew a bad day, and he was going to be fine. Nothing bothered Johnny. But Morgan would meet with him after school every day in the early going, and he would say, "Johnny," to Johnny Jones, "you know your job." Johnny said, "Yes, Coach, I do. Make sure he," speaking to Johnny Austin, "comes back tomorrow." And the next day they'd meet again. He said, "Johnny, you know your job, right?" "Yes, sir." "Make sure he comes back tomorrow." And there laid the foundation of Coach Wooten's program at DeMatha, those two guys. And again, if you know Johnny, you know he's never had a bad day. We're sorry to miss him today. Please pray for his health, continued success there. And Mr. Ponton will accept his award. Next inductee, again with the unbelievable show of support, friends, former coaches that he coached with, people he's worked with in the media, Chris Naki. Let's watch the video on Chris.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Chris Naki.
Chris Naki's journey in basketball began at W.T. Woodson High School, where he starred under the guidance of legendary coach Red Jenkins. Although he played multiple sports growing up, it was Coach Jenkins who convinced Naki to focus on basketball, setting him on a path that would shape his future. Chris's talent on the court initially led him to Colorado, but he soon transferred to American University in 1979, where he played 2 seasons under former Terrapin head coach Gary Williams. Naki transitioned from player to coach, eventually serving as an assistant and later as the head coach of the Eagles for 7 seasons, 1991 through 1997. During his 17 years at American University, Naki's leadership and understanding of the game became evident, not just to his players, but to the broader basketball community. After his coaching tenure, Chris found a new calling in the world of broadcasting. He's always been encouraged to consider media if he ever left coaching, and his first taste came when he filled in on a talk radio show for 5 weeks. And this experience led to his first major television exposure as a color analyst for the North Carolina at Duke game, a national stage that opened even more doors. Naki has now completed 25 seasons as the color analyst for the Maryland Terrapins broadcast. Prior to joining Maryland's broadcast crew, he worked as a color commentator for the Ivy League Game of the Week, and his talents extending to telecast for ESPN, CSN, and radio and television analyst for George Mason University games. He's also a regular guest on the Sports Reporters on ESPN 980 in Washington. Reflecting on a career that spans over 40 years, Naki emphasizes that while the game itself has been important, the relationships and community he built along the way mean the most to him. Basketball was in his DNA, as his father was drafted by the Pittsburgh Ironmen of the NBA as the first pick in 1947. He credits the mentorship of Coach Red Jenkins, who laid the foundation for a career that's touched every corner of the basketball world. As he enters his 26th year with Maryland, Chris Naki continues to be a prominent figure in the world of basketball broadcasting, embodying the spirit of the game and, as he says, the power of being at the right place at the right time.
Chris Naki, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
A couple of things. First of all, that was not Red Jenkins up there in the picture. I don't know if anybody was really paying attention. I'm not sure who that fellow was. Appreciate everybody coming out today. When Rick Brown called me about this, I was pretty sure I was being punked. You know, it's one of those things where you check your car for cameras, and I'm thinking, man, I don't even know him that well, but this joker is pulling a pretty elaborate joke on me. And then he said to me, he said, you're being inducted as a contributor. I said, okay, cool, I'm good with that. And then a couple sentences later, you know what, yeah, you're being inducted as a contributor. I'm like, I get it, I understand it the first time you said it. And then third time, hey, you know, just to be clear, you're going in as a contributor. And I said, Rick, you know, there's an easier way to say that you saw me play and coach. You know, but I get it, and I'm here. I have a connection with most of this room, and I also have a connection with a lot of the guys who are being inducted, strangely enough. My friend Bill Stone used to produce the Ivy League Game of the Week for DirecTV, and one of the coups that we had was we had James Brown, of course, a Harvard alum, an Ivy League alum, come do some games for us, and I was the analyst. And so I remember specifically one time, we were going up to Princeton to do a Friday night game because James obviously has some commitments on the weekend. So we took the train up from Union Station. We do the game at what used to be, I think, Jadwin Gym at Princeton. We end up getting a cab or something back to the Trenton train station for a 12:30 a.m. train. You have any idea what a train station looks like at 12:30 in the morning? So we go walking in there, and James, I mean, it's like the C parts for this TV star, this rock star walking into the train station. And one of the guys sitting there hanging out, who clearly had been there a long time, asked James to sign his flask. God bless James Brown, because he did it, absolutely did it. Adrian Branch. I had a chance to coach Adrian at one of the teams that was not shown on his bio. It used to be that you were allowed to take a touring team around and play Division I teams and get a guarantee check. It was really a lot of fun, and I had some really good players on my team that was sponsored by Nantucket Nectars. And Adrian was one of my best players, and he was no joke as a player. He was so good, 6'8", probably before his time as in terms of his skill set. But Adrian was not the easiest guy in the world to coach. And I used to tell him, I said, dude, for a guy who played for Morgan Wooten and for Lefty Driesell, we have a completely different idea of what a give and go is. Guys, man, you give it to Adrian, he would go. That was the give and go for him. I also, in terms of connections, I did hold Stacey Robinson to 42 points one summer. But you can't feel too jacked about that, man. You dropped 42 on a contributor, all right? So it doesn't really count. I am not so much a Hall of Fame guy, I swear to God. I know I'm not, but I am a right place, right time guy, as Johnny had mentioned in the video. And it's one of those things that sort of followed me my whole life, and I'm not complaining about it at all. It's just I've been a very fortunate guy. I went away to college in 1976. You can go ahead and do the math on that one. I was a freshman at Colorado, and I think I was the 14th guy on a 12-man team. But you know what? I just kept playing. I loved the fight. I loved the team. And all of a sudden, guys start getting hurt. One guy quits. You know, I mean, it's just amazing how things sort of happen. Next thing you know, a week before the first game of the season, I'm the backup point guard to a guy named Tony Ellis, who was a big star at DeMatha. There seems to be a thread here today. So I'm playing behind Tony Ellis. The first game we're playing is at New Mexico. New Mexico had a star guard by the name of Michael Cooper, okay? And you know what, this was before the internet. You know, these guys were all just people you see in a street in Smith Magazine, right? So I go in there, I'm spelling Tony for all of about, 3 minutes during the course of that game. And I go in there, and New Mexico's pressing full court, and I turn to take the ball up on Michael Cooper. And 9.9 seconds later, it occurred to me the value of a college education. Because that was a freaking nightmare, and I'm thinking, I am a long way from Fairfax, Virginia here. All right, I move on to college. You know, I've been so fortunate. I've had so many great mentors. I was Gary Williams' first college recruit. Gary remains a very good friend of mine, and we're tight and close, and that's a friendship I value to this day. I skipped right over Red Jenkins, who's probably the most important guy in my life at this point in time with my folks gone. And I love the fact that I can play golf with Red. And by the way, at his advanced age, he's still taking money from guys on golf courses all over in Northern Virginia. Props to you, Coach. But I move on to college, and I get my staff at AU, my initial staff when I started coaching. First of all, Gary was there, obviously, when I was playing. Eddie Tapscott, Fran Dunphy, okay? I mean, just Hall of Fame type guys, even better people. So I get them as mentors and guys who teach me a lot about the game. Carl Hicks joined us later. Carl taught me a lot more off the court than he did on the court. Great opportunities. Tap, by the way, I've always said Eddie Tapscott is the best human being I ever met in my life. Best human being I ever met in my life, and I will never argue that point. But he chose me over John Calipari for that assistant coach's job. He's not the smartest guy I ever met in my life. So eventually I get the head coaching job, and I'm fortunate. I get Bruce Kelly, who is absolutely kicking ass and taking names at Bullis right now. I mean, his team is fantastic. I could not be more proud of a guy that I worked with forever. Donald Grant was with me. Donald played and then coached with us as well. And my best friend for 50 years has been Gordon Austin. And to think that I got a chance to work with him, just, so lucky. And then again, right place, right time. I leave coaching, and I was doing a bunch of games. The Maryland gig opens up, and 25 years later, I've been working with Johnny and Walt. Of course, the great Walt Williams, who is absolutely one of my dearest friends and best guys that I know. So I'm a lucky guy. I'm really, really, really fortunate, and sometimes I have to pinch myself as to how I could have gotten here. But I'll leave you with this. My kids are here. 2 of my 3 kids are here. My son Ryan, daughter Kelsey. And the best thing I've done, and this is a game, it's ironic I'm up here getting an award as a contributor for a game that's given me a boatload more than I've given it. And so, I've had a chance I've met presidents. I've traveled to places in the world that I would never have gone to were it not for this sport. I'm a really fortunate guy. But the one thing, if I could do one thing again, it would be to coach these guys for one more game. I coached them both as teenagers. And the rides to games, the rides home from games, win or lose, it was just so special and so priceless. I will say this, it wasn't all giggles, right? I mean, coaching my daughter, she comes to me at 9 years old. She wants me to be the coach on her travel team. So I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And I'm thinking, I got to pare down some of my vocabulary from what it once was. She comes to me early on. She says, we picked out these uniforms. They're pink and purple. And I said, no. So I said, we're going to be gym rats. We're going to go in there. I'm going to get you T-shirts. You're going to cut off the sleeves. We're going to go in there. We're going to press. We're going to be obnoxious. We're going to get up in people's faces. And I said, I don't want you to play like girls. And of course, they're like, what does that even mean? Well, at any rate. So we go through the season. We had a great season. It was so much fun with these guys. And one of the great things about the girls, they don't watch ESPN. Okay, so they're just there for the love of the game. Midway through the season or so, we get it handed to us pretty good. And we get in the car to come home. And I'm pretty sure every guy in this room has been in a car where you're getting either no answer or one-word answers, and there's a cold front coming from the opposite side of the car. Well, that was my daughter at that time. And so I let it go, pull into the driveway, and she goes flying out of the car, and I'm right on her heels. And she throws open the door and screams to anybody who would listen, "Daddy said the F word." So, as a coach, you're always teaching, right? Listen, I appreciate you guys having me. This has been a really special day. I've got a lot of great friends and family that made it out here. I met my good friends Carl Hicks, Eddie Tapscott last night for dinner. I made this name will resonate with some of the folks in here. We had a guy who coached with us for 1 year in the 80s who's one of the great all-time characters and knuckleheads named Keith Lomax. Keith played at Providence, but he was one of a kind. So I made the reservation under Keith Lomax just as a kind of a chuckle for Carl and Ed. And damn if that Mater D didn't call me Mr. Lomax all night long. All right, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Red, you keep winning those Virginia titles, okay? Don't come over to Maryland or D.C., though, with that stuff. No. Next is a guy that I can't talk to enough, and we probably talk at least once a week because every time he sees me, he calls me champ. Who wouldn't spend time with that guy? Who wouldn't spend time with that guy? I feel like Muhammad Ali whenever I'm around him. One of the greatest talents to ever come out of this area, and he's of my era, so I know. And of course, we all vouch for our own eras, but I've never seen anybody better. And looking forward to the video, and of course, hearing from our next inductee, Stacy Robinson.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Stacy Robinson.
Stacy Robinson's basketball story began in the heart of Southeast Washington, D.C., where his talent became evident at an early age. By the time he was 10, he was already catching the attention of anyone who watched him play. Robinson spent his early days honing his skills at St. Teresa's Catholic Gym, where Earl Davis would open the doors, allowing young Stacy to compete against much older players. At just 11 years old, he was competing against 16-year-olds, and by 8th grade, he was playing summer ball alongside college athletes and D.C. legends like Austin Carr from Notre Dame. Even then, it was clear that Stacy was a special player. Robinson initially attended Crossland High School in Prince George's County, but it was his transfer to Dunbar High School for his senior year that truly solidified his legacy, and in 1975, Robinson led Dunbar to an unforgettable season, including a victory over the undefeated, second-ranked Long Island Lutheran team in New York. That same year, Dunbar finished as DC's top-ranked team after defeating DeMatha in the Knights of Columbus finals. Robinson's prowess on the court was widely recognized. He earned all PG County honors in 1973 and 1974, was named first-team All-Met in 1975, and received Parade Magazine High School All-American honors. He was also named MVP of the Howard Garfinkel 5-Star Camp and shined in national showcases like the Capital Classic All-Star Game and the Simcoe Basketball Classic, where he led all players with 26 points. Standing at 6'2", Robinson had an explosive leaping ability and a knack for improvisation. Howard Garfinkel once remarked that Robinson was one of the best two guards he'd ever had at his camp. He was a player who could shoot, who could handle the ball and play above the rim with ease. His senior year, he averaged 24 points a game, often coming off the bench. He was inspired by Adrian Dantley and watched all of his games. After high school, Robinson attended junior college, where he led his team to the Final Four, proving that his talent was undeniable. Today, Stacy's a proud father of 5, happily married to his wife, Kathy, who has stood by him through the toughest times for over 30 years. He lives in Temple Hills, Maryland, and dedicates his time to speaking to young people, sharing his story, and encouraging them to make the right choices, hit the books, and do the right thing.
Stacy Robinson, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Good morning, everyone. And this day, I thought I'd never see this day. I'd like to give God thanks first for giving me the talent to play this game. Then I'd like to thank the committee, Pete Strickland, Brian Maggot, Tony Epson, and Bush McAdams. Me and Pete was together at 5-Star Basketball. He beat me in the city title game in 1975. Brian Maggot might have been one of the most prolific shooters I ever saw play this game. I'd like to thank my coaches, my junior high school coach, Tad Fickman, Coach Sadlowski at Crossland, and the great legendary Jodine Davidson. And the rest of my mentors. Coach McLeese and his beautiful wife is here. I want to thank y'all, Ducky Vaughn, Adrian Danley, Billy Bryant, Delonte Taylor, Darrell Green, Bonky, Penny Green, and I owe this day to all you guys. But Penny Green, man, you was on this committee too. And coming up, man, playing against you, you was older than me, you was a year older than me, but I should look up to you as a problem on the court. at Parkdale. And there wasn't nothing you couldn't do. And I always take my hat off to you. I think we split 1-1. I had 34. You must have had like 39 or something. But man, you know, your name is gonna be called going in this hall as well as mine, Brian and Pete too. To my beautiful family, Kathy, thank you for sticking with me through my ups and downs. I had some hiccups through this career. My road wasn't easy, it's been bumpy. My son Javon, my daughter Khadijah, Tammy Robinson, Kenny Robinson, Lloyd Kenny, thank y'all for coming. My niece Laney and JP. You know, lacing up, you know, playing this game in the city as a kid, you always wanted to be the best and go up and play against the best, and I did that, playing against you guys. As y'all saw in the video, Agent Dandy coming up was our go-to man in the early 70s. Like he came out in 73, but everything after that, we should look up to Agent Dandy. He was here earlier, he's still here. I talk to him on a regular basis, man. He give me a little advice. Tell me, you know, thanks, man, for doing what you're doing. And I really appreciate that from you, AD. Like I say, man, you was my go-to man. I always wanted to be like you as a player. I went up to 5-star basketball camp, got the MVP up there. You went to the Kentucky Derby. No, the Dapper Dan in Pittsburgh. You got the MVP in the Dapper Dan. I got the MVP in the Simcoe Classic up in Monticello, New York. So I was following your footsteps, man, but like I said, I came short. But just thank you, man, for being in my life now. There's so many things I can say, man. I'm just glad to be here today. I'm clean and sober today. 68 years old. Still got a lot of growing up to do. Derek Wittenberg, you here? That's you, Derek Wittenberg. Walt Williams, the Wizard. Crossland High. Yes, sir, I just watched Derek Wittenberg come up as a youngster. I knew he was gonna be great. Delonte Taylor Jr. And thank the staff, thank everybody in here for coming out to support us going into this fraternity right here. You know, I'm going in with some great guys. Tony Epson, when I was a youngster, took me to the battlegrounds down in Sherwood Playground, and he drowned me down there one day. Me and Barry Frazier was checking him, so the coach called timeout. He said, hey, Stacy, I need you to check Tony Epson. He'll be up here next. I said, Coach, I ain't checking him, you check him. He got 41 already. We got about 7 minutes to go in the game. But man, I ain't gonna be long. Just a couple of guys I want to say, you know, that I'm carrying in the Hall of Fame with me. The great Steve Higgins, Jerome McDaniels, and a young man that came up with me that we took the All Met picture together with me, him and Brian Maggot, Barry Frazier. You know, may them guys rest in peace. Thank you, DC. In the words of Frankie Beverly, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Omaha.
Thank you, Stacy. Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, Stacy, I know he's thanked Brian and I for getting in the Hall of Fame. I can't tell him enough. You don't get in this thing unless you earn it. You've earned it many times over. Fantastic. Our next inductee, and we'll be refreshed about her fantastic career here in the area, Miss Penny Toller. Miss Penny Toller.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Penny Toller.
Penny Toler's basketball journey began on the streets of Washington, D.C., where she learned to play the game at just 7 years old. Often the only girl on the court, Toler quickly understood that toughness was a prerequisite for respect. By her high school years, she was a standout player at St. Anthony High School. She earned All-Met honors for 3 consecutive years and was ultimately named a Parade All-American. Toler began her collegiate journey with the San Diego State Aztecs. After transferring to Long Beach State, she sat out a year but quickly became a dominant force on the court. Toler became a 2-time All-American and 2-time Big West Player of the Year, leading the Long Beach State 49ers to 2 Final Four appearances in 1987 and 1988. By the time she graduated, Toler was the school's career leader in assist and free throw percentage. And in 1995, she was inducted into the Long Beach State Athletic Hall of Fame and is recognized as a distinguished alumni. Following her collegiate success, she began her professional career overseas, playing 5 seasons in Italy, Greece, and Israel. In 1997, Toler was drafted by the Los Angeles Sparks in the inaugural season of the WNBA. She made history by scoring the first basket and sinking the first free throw in the league's history. During her 3 seasons with the Sparks, Toler averaged 10 points, 4 assists, and 2.8 rebounds per game, proving herself as a formidable point guard. After retiring as a player in 1999, Toler transitioned into becoming the general manager of the Sparks. She was also appointed the executive vice president, making her the first African-American female to hold such a position in professional sports. During her 20-year tenure as GM, Toler led the Sparks to 3 WNBA titles, 2001, 2002, and 2016, and guiding the team to 18 playoff appearances. Under her leadership, the Sparks became one of the most successful franchises in WNBA history. Toler's influence extended beyond the court. She was a foundational figure in the growth of the WNBA and played a crucial role in creating opportunities for future generations of female leaders. She remains one of only 2 players, alongside Lisa Leslie, to have their jersey retired by the Sparks in the Crypto Center. Her impact as a player, executive, and trailblazer continues to inspire, reminding us that toughness and talent and determination can lead to greatness both on and off the court. Currently residing in LA, she credits her success to the unwavering support of her family, especially her 3 brothers, who looked after her by playing basketball with her growing up.
Penny Toler, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Well, anyway, it's great to be back in Los Angeles. Great to see Derek over there, who I haven't seen in a long time. He used to be at Long Beach State when I was a player there. Anyway, I want to thank the DC Hall of Fame for thinking about me. It's been a long time. You know, I'm on the West Coast. Sometimes out of sight is out of mind. So this is a huge award for me. Even though my jersey hangs in the Staples Center and my university, this is big for me because this is home. Even when I went into the WNBA, everybody knew I was always proud to be from DC, just like now when I meet people and they be like, oh, I'm from DC. I go, wait a minute, you from DC, Maryland, or Baltimore? Because you got to be from DC, right? And I used to wear on my wristbands, anybody who ever saw me play back then, PT from DC. That's how they knew me, because I was always proud to come from the District of Columbia. You know, I see some familiar faces here, like I said about Derek. I see my high school coach here, Daryl Tolliver. Thank you for letting us run and gun and make me look good. You know, and the best basketball is played in DC, because the thing I always say to players nowadays, I miss the days of street ball, because everything is organized now. Everything is organized. And coming back, I was like, wow, it was so nostalgic, because it's rare you get an opportunity to come full circle with your career, with your life. And today I actually get an opportunity to come full circle with someone that I can't thank enough, and that's Donald Huff. You know, The thing about Donald, and I told him this, and I want to say this in front of everybody, he was one of the, it was like, I can't miss this for anything in the world, even though it was crazy busy in California. I wanted to come back because I wanted to say to you, thank you. Because like, you know, now you have the internet, you have social media, and it's so easy, but because of your pen, you made my name a household name. You know, he wrote about everybody's, pretty much everybody's going in here, Hall of Fame today, career. And because of you, I became All-Met, you know, All-American. You know, I was able to live my dream in California. I was, you know, allocated to the Sparks as one of just two players, myself and Lisa. So I wanted to say to you, thank you so much. You know, you don't get a chance to thank someone who helped you so much in your career. So I want to say thank you to Donald. Now, something I always say, it's so funny because I always say if I died tomorrow, I've led an incredible life. One that I can only dream of. You know how they say, the dream you dream for yourself, God has a better one. You know, my first day on the job, it's rare that people can say, you know, Dr. Buss, the Lakers used to own the Sparks, their first 10 years. And I could say my first day on the job, they say, Penny, you can't go to work until your first meeting is with Jerry West, the great Jerry West, you know, who unfortunately just passed. You know, I done met with Jerry, I done like talked basketball with Mitch Kupchak. Dr. Jerry Buss is just a legend of his own. Johnny Buss, I done worked with Magic Johnson. Stan Katzen, who's the only GM in the world, has ever been the GM of baseball, basketball, and hockey all at one time. And even saying all those names, I don't say all those names to brag or anything like that, because like I said, I've done led an incredible basketball life. And even with all those names, my heroes are my three brothers who are sitting at this table. I was sitting beside my brother Calvin just now, and that's the one right there. He loved the Lakers. And I told Magic, I said, Magic, I need you to sign this jersey to say to my brother Calvin, because he loved the Lakers when I was a Detroit Piston fan. But I was just sitting there with him, and he go, hey, you got a speech? These people are giving a speech up here. I say, what have I done my whole career? You don't get to be this age. I can speak about anything now. That's when you know you're old. You can just wake up and say, where I'm going. And it's funny, he said, did you want to tell him about all those nights we played in the street? I go, no. Right? But actually I am, because my brothers, my three brothers, always been my hero. And this is why I wanted them to be here today, and I'm glad they all could make it here, because, you know, I wouldn't be here today without them. You know, my parents worked, and it's three girls, it's three boys, and then myself and my little sister. So my brothers, they need another person to play basketball. And thank God you guys picked me, because it made me have an extraordinary life. So my brother Calvin, I'm going to start with him. Now, I always say they're hot, medium, and cold. Whenever I go back to California, they don't know. My friends be like, hey, tell me about your brother Butch. His name is Alan, we call him Butch. And he was talking, my brother Calvin just said, you going to tell him how I used to take you out there at night? No, but I'm going to tell him how you took me out there in the snow when I was about 8 years old. He dug up the court, and I would do all these moves, and then I would shoot with one hand. He's like, we're going to stay out here until you learn how to shoot with two hands. Today, that would be child abuse. I just want to let you know that. And we stood out there. I was so cold, until I learned how to shoot with two hands. And they were, like I said, hot, medium, and cold. My brother Butch probably could have been a pro. I used to love to watch my brother Butch play, because he was so, like, fine and finesse. His ball handling, I used to think when I was growing up, if I could handle a ball like him, I'm going to be amazing. And I would practice in the basement in front of a mirror. You know, I was young, and I used to always try to fake myself out. And I'd be like, man, I'm still here? You know, not knowing that you can't fake the mirror out. So I used to always love to emulate his game, because he had such a nice jump shot. He could handle the ball, he could do it all. But the thing that I loved about him was, and anybody knows this, if you're ever in the playground and you're playing, you better have a good team, because when you lose, you're not getting back up. You're not coming back, right? And it would be better guys that I know out on the court that were better than me, but my brother Butch always picked me. He always picked me. And you will never know the type of confidence that gave me. Because if my brother would pick me, I must be pretty good. But I also knew, too, he was good enough for two people, right? So But it gave me the confidence that I knew I could play against anybody. My brother Butch gave me the confidence. My brother Cal was a great teacher, you know, even though he did it in a special way, you know, like off the backboard and everything. And my brother Wim, that's sitting right here, now he was the test. Now this brother here, he gave me my toughness and my strength, right? Because when we would play one-on-one, he would shoot the ball, knock me down, step on my hand, push me in the back, go get the ball and lay it back up. And I'd be like, you just fouled me. He go, no, I didn't. You know, he was so, I knew if I scored 2 points or 4 points on him, that was like getting 10 or 12 against somebody else, because he never let up. We used to be on punishment because we would be fighting over the basketball. So I've always said, and especially when I got older, if it wasn't for you three guys, I probably wouldn't have led this extraordinary life. And I want to say thank you to you today, because, you know, you were 3 of the best brothers a girl could have. You know, my sister's here too. She's always supported me. She's always in California, though. I can't believe she bought a house here, by the way, too, okay? But I want to say thank you to you guys, because, I mean, you mean the world to me. And even though I don't see you that often, here's an opportunity for me to say I'm grateful and thankful to have you as my brothers. So, and back to the committee, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for thinking about me. Thank you for including women. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
St. Anthony's finest. St. Anthony's finest. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. Yeah, give me one second. Stacy Robinson had asked me, he had forgotten 2 people that many of us met earlier in the room that are here that he wanted to thank on his behalf. Will Jones. Will Jones will acknowledge. Where's Will? Well, Will and I were arguing about a charge call. I think my feet were set in 75. I think we got that established. Well, and Duck Williams. Duck is here as well. Where's Duck? Duck. Back in highs. Back in high. So the boss has moved me off the microphone. Thanks for being patient with us and me tonight. It's so nice having you here. But for this special inductee, Rick Brown, chairman of the committee, will take over. So let's welcome Rick.
Thank you, Pete. I have an honor to help induct a good friend, a person who helped teach me a lot about the game of basketball. The summer of '71, I was just out of the Army and playing basketball down at Sligo. And a couple guys said, hey, you might want to fit in. We got a group of guys that play once a week, Tuesday nights at BCC. You might fit in. Why don't you come down there? Well, I ended up going down there. I ended up playing 35 years with those guys. Some of you may know the name Zeke Zimmerman, John Manoogian, but the big one was this guy named Tony Upson. And I didn't know who Tony was, but over the next 10 years I found out who Tony was, because if you ever try to cover Tony, here's how you cover Tony. He just went. But Tony Upson was a guy that we all felt was a leader and a mentor for us. You know, after playing ball one night, you always go out and have a couple beers and talk, and you grow up. And over 35 years, I still am growing up, but I'm growing up. And Tony was one of those guys who was a mentor for me. So I appreciate the fact that we're all here to celebrate him coming into the Hall of Fame. And now let's see a little video on Tony's life.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2024 Hall of Fame inductee, Tony Upson.
Tony Upson's basketball journey began in the heart of Washington, D.C., where he grew up immersed in sports at the local recreation centers. Surrounded by mentors who inspired him, Tony dreamed of one day becoming a role model himself. At Theodore Roosevelt High School, Upson quickly rose through the ranks. Starting on JV, he was moved to the varsity team as a point guard after 3 games, where he led in assists. His hard work and dedication on the court were evident from the start. Tony went on to play at the District of Columbia Teachers College from 1962 to 1966, where he left an indelible mark. He became the school's all-time leading scorer, was selected as team MVP 4 years in a row, and earned the Maryland Collegiate Conference MVP title 4 times. His performance and leadership on the court set a high standard. After his collegiate career, Upson was invited to the Baltimore Bullets rookie camp. Standing at 5'11" and weighing just 160 pounds, he continued to excel in the Eastern League, where he averaged over 20 points a game and played as a player-coach for Hampton. Beyond his playing days, Upson transitioned into coaching at his alma mater, DCTC, from 1968 to 1972. His coaching prowess was immediately evident as he led the team to 3 MIC titles and was named Coach of the Year 3 times. Tony's influence extended beyond basketball. He became the certified mentor and coach for principals, focusing on effective leadership and business acumen. A principal himself, Tony made a significant impact in education. He was recognized as the Washington Post Principal of Excellence and named Principal of the Year for his leadership in improving test scores and fostering academic success. He was particularly known for his ability to transform underperforming schools into thriving environments for students. Tony's commitment to mentoring continues with his program for African American males, the Promise Program, aimed at reducing and eliminating acts of violence among youth aged 16 to 24. His life work stands as a testament to the roots of sports and the life lessons he learned on the court: responsibility, teamwork, and discipline. Upson lives by the motto, hard work can beat talent if talent fails to work hard. Grateful for his family, Tony is happily married with 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 son, and 5 grandsons. His legacy is one of dedication, leadership, and a lifelong commitment to making a difference.
Tony Upson, we welcome you to the 2024 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
I think Tony's the oldest man in this room still playing active basketball. 80 years old, he's still playing, guys. God bless him. God bless him.
By the way, I'm 81. I have some prepared remarks, but I just would like to say a couple of things before that. First, I'm going to direct them to you, Stacy. We all have our ups and downs. Everybody in this room has those times when they were tough, and you went through some real tough times. But you listened to people who thought of you, loved you, and wanted you to get to that point. And I will say to you, I am so very, very proud of you for what you've gone through and the life that you're leading now. Please give him another round of applause. I go to community centers. All the kids love him. He's always giving them the kind of advice that he received and all wants them all to do well. The second point I'd like to make is, as I think about my life, and many of you are here today, you know, what is the purpose of life? You know, some may talk about accomplishments, you know, whether it be money, goals, positions, and all of that. But for me, the purpose of life is for your life to matter. Does your life matter? If you leave today, if you leave tomorrow, because we're all going to leave, would people think about what you've done, who you were, how you've lived? Would it matter? So all that I have done and will continue to try to do is to help. Do what you can to help people, no matter where they are in life, no matter what they want to do. Will it matter? From coaching and mentoring the youth, there was a program that we had for students who were considered at risk. The leading cause of death for African American males between the ages of 16 and 21 is gun violence. Gun violence. With a number of individuals, some are here today, who agreed to mentor with me to help reduce or eliminate acts of violence for African American males. We mentored over 240 students. Every Friday, 2 hours, Friday. Those are kind of things that I think are important. Things that are important, you know. I started mentoring principals. I happen to have been, and Don Graham is here. They chose me as an exemplary principal. I believe to become the best at your craft, you need to have a coach or a mentor. No one who is tops in their craft didn't get there alone. There are some, I won't say none, but there are a few, but most have a coach. You think of baseball players, basketball players, football players, singers, dancers, pianists, actors. They get there if they have a coach. You can't just pick up a book and read it to become an effective leader or effective anything. You have to have someone there to point out the areas that you are not doing properly and that can help you to grow. So I feel that I'm doing a pretty good job mentoring. I have 5 principals that I mentor now, and I love it. I love it. And thirdly, someone mentioned before me about the recognition of this group. It's my 3rd Hall of Fame induction. One was at my college, DC Teachers College. The second was the Principals Association, and this one. And this one, I will tell you, gives me the most joy, the very most joy. I think I've arrived now for this, so I'm here. Now let me quickly, I have a minute and a half of prepared remarks, okay? What an honor. It's hard for me to believe that I'm here. I am truly honored to stand before you today as an inductee into the Washington Metropolitan Hall of Fame. This recognition is not only a personal milestone for me, but it's also a testament to the incredible support and inspiration that I've received throughout my life. Basketball has been a significant part of my life for as long as I can remember. It taught me discipline, it taught me teamwork, perseverance, and the importance of community, this community. I will tell you, those who want basketball is a community. It's what I call a universal language. In Washington, D.C., if you can play basketball, you're there. You're being accepted. I'm very grateful for the support that so many people, especially my college coach, Hiram Usalena. He pushed me beyond my perceived limits, instilling in me the values that shaped not only my athletic career, but also my life beyond basketball. He believed in me. He believed in me. His guidance and belief in me and my potential were instrumental in my development as a player, a coach, a principal, a father, and a husband. Additionally, I am incredibly grateful to my family, whose unwavering support has been my foundation, and my family's here today. I love you, will always love you, and I'm so glad that you're here today. And finally, a special thank you to the members of the selection committee for this incredible honor. Please know that I am very proud to be part of a community that values the impact of sports on our society and recognizes the dedication of those who have contributed to its legacy. I hope to continue to inspire future generations just as those who have inspired me. And also, I congratulate and salute all of the inductees today. I thank everyone who has been a part of my basketball journey, and I'm deeply grateful for this recognition and will cherish this moment forever. And of course, I thank all of you who are here to help us to celebrate. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. As Tony said, the 4 greatest words a coach can say: I believe in you. And that's our message for us today, to take with us to the mentorees in our lives, to our family, to others, those 4 simple words: I believe in you. So thank you for coming today. Can we have all of the inductees who won awards today please come up to the stage for a group picture? And thanks, everybody. Hang out, get some pictures, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.